Welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, where we aim to help fellow veterinary rehab therapists increase their knowledge and elevate their practice. I'm Megan Kelly.
And I'm Anae Lloyd. Together, we bring you the latest insights, research, and information in the field of veterinary rehabilitation.
This podcast is brought to you by Onlinepethealth, a leading continuing education membership for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. With Onlinepethealth, you'll have access to a wide range of online resources to help you stay up to date with the latest techniques, advances, and trends in the industry.
Our podcast features in-depth conversations with leading experts in veterinary rehabilitation. They share their own experiences and knowledge to help you improve your practice. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the field, our goal is to provide you with the tools and the insights you need to succeed.
So join us as we explore the exciting world of veterinary rehabilitation and help you take your practice to the next level. Hey Vet Rehabbers, it's another one of my Behind the Vet Rehab Practice podcast this week. And for those of you that are new to the Veterinary Rehabilitation podcast, my Behind the Vet Rehab Practice podcast are one of my favorite interviews to do. What I love about these interviews is that vet rehabbers share with us their wins and their losses. And although it's not great that they made mistakes, when they share them with us, we get to learn from them. So when we find ourselves in that same position, we have hindsight, which we would never have had before. So you get to fast track your success by not repeating the same mistakes that they've made. So this week I'm speaking to Anthony Schena from Alpha Rehab and Fitness in New Jersey in the United States. Anthony and I talk about how he bought his practice, how he transitioned from human PT practice to animals, and the huge learning curves that he has had and the mistakes that he's made. And as a podcast listener, you might also be interested in Anthony's podcast. It's called The Underdog Story, a walkthrough on the business of animal rehabilitation. I'll leave the link to that in the description. It's not too late to sign up for our birthday webinars. February is our birthday month. We have 2 free webinars we are gifting away to our vet rehabber community. The first one is sponsored by Grayston Technique. Grayston Technique is a unique evidence-based form of instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization that utilizes medical-grade stainless steel instruments to amplify the feeling of palpation and expand the power of your hands as you work to identify soft tissue irregularities in the horse's body. So you can maximize the outcomes of your manual therapy treatments. So this webinar is focused on how to use this technique in horses. Our second webinar is sponsored by Canine Rehab Institute and is lectured by their very own Cara Amsted, and this one is going to be a great refresher. It's radiology tips for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. So you can go to onlinepethealth.com/gift to sign up, and that is till the end of February. If you're watching or listening to this after February, you can go to onlinepethealth.com/free and you can sign up to our limited access membership, and we will add the recordings there. So over to my chat with Anthony. Hey, Anthony, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Megan, thanks for having me.
So for the listeners, won't you tell them about yourself and how you got into the field of vet rehab?
Sure, absolutely. So, I started in the human PT world, really loved helping people recover from injuries and things like that. And, I did that up until about, I think it was 2019, 2018. Then my pup, actually Miles, who is now a 14-year-old cockapoo, he actually blew out both of his CCLs, which was interesting because it's the equivalent of the ACL in humans. So when that happened, he was 11 at the time, and he was considered a senior. So the best bet for him for quality of life when we spoke with the surgeon was to repair them. So we got both repaired, and then the surgeon basically told me that since he's a senior, just do incremented walks, and here's a list of don'ts. Yeah, so for me, I was like, oh, well, can I translate any of my skills onto Miles? Maybe some mild stretching or massage therapy or, and I was told no. I was told just follow these guidelines and he will be back to normal, their normal, what they were predicting. And kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. So I did implore, and I did actually call the surgeon again. They were being very strict about their regimen. And so, for me, it was not the right answer for my guy anyway. So I wound up kind of looking into, well, is there canine rehab? Is there canine physical therapy? And yeah, I did a huge nosedive and I saw all these resources, multiple programs, everything like that, and even facilities around, not close, but there were facilities around that did this. And so I looked into those programs and I wound up finding Northeast Seminars and choosing them also because of proximity, as I had just a newborn daughter. And so I didn't want to go far. So, I had gone through their coursework and everything, came out of that in February of 2020, a month before the world shut down, which was also interesting. But, the community itself was still available. And I had a couple of mentors in New Jersey that were able to still take me under their wing, teach me things. And one of those mentors actually wound up, letting me take over their establishment.
Yeah. So fast track to today, where are we?
Yeah, so we're 2 years in. Alpha's doing great. It went from a 2-day a week facility to a full-on 5-day a week facility. We are seeing pups, kittens, the whole nine. It's really kind of cool, especially what's interesting to me is that in the human world, I wasn't so prone to, the neurological side of things. But when it comes to the animals, it's the most interesting thing to me and how I can get them back and, functional again. So even with the cats, a lot of them come in with the neurological conditions more than anything. So it's a lot of fun. And so we're 2 years in, we're doing great. I also found a partner that was really gung ho about animal rehab, and she is now managing Alpha while I am looking at other prospects in New Jersey to basically help create abundance of canine rehab, because I still think there's a shortage. I think it's still more of a niche instead of a norm. And I'm trying to change that, at least in New Jersey first, and then maybe the world.
Love it. So are you looking to franchise or have another branch?
Franchise was always a thought. But right now I am making different standalone facilities. Plan is one in June, and then actually taking over one at the end of this year that another rehab therapist wants to retire out of. And outside of that too, I think one of the biggest deficits of canine rehab businesses is that when someone tries to seek one or do one or even revamp one, there's guidance out there. Don't get me wrong, but I still think that needs to be a little bit more of an abundance too. So I've also started a business consulting on the side for locals anyway. I'm helping with kind of boots on the ground layouts, things like that, help to either start or revamp a canine rehab business. And then the last thing is Northeast Seminars and myself are working on a project. It's going to start out, at least, as a podcast. We are going to basically let you guys in on who is Northeast Seminars, what do they do, how do they do it, going from details of their courses and meeting the instructors. And that's all happening this year too. Recording's already in progress, so super excited about that.
Nice. And this is in addition to your podcast, because you actually have your own podcast called An Underdog Story, a walk through the business of animal rehab.
Yes. So that was also made as a little bit of insight for rehabbers and pet owners and just, veterinarians and dog lovers alike, just to give you little tidbits of, the world of canine rehab. And it was more of a, putting something on the map so that you could find somewhere to reach out to, because that's what I wanted to do. They were short podcasts, they were informational, but they were also having you contact me so I can give you better information or more information on things. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's talk
So
about,
keeping busy, keeping busy.
yeah, you are. You've got a lot of in place. Let's chat about the transition from being a human PT to an animal rehab therapist now. So obviously it's very different. What are the main differences? And like, is there anything you miss about being a human PT? And what do you love about being a veterinary rehab therapist?
So, great question. And I would say that I'll never go back to human PT. Yeah, canine rehab is just way more fun. Like I
Yeah.
said before, I don't know what it was that, with the neurological challenges in the human world that I wasn't really drawn to, but every patient, orthopedic or neurologic, that comes in my door nowadays, I'm always ready to approach and I'm ready to figure it out. And it's just more fun. A lot of times these patients want to come in and they want to work out and they want to, they see it more as a playground than a chore. So just that mindset, that energy that you get from these patients. Not to say there weren't human patients that were the same way, but majority unfortunately were not. And uh, the dogs don't come in and say, I'm just thinking massage today. you know?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things about being a veterinary rehab therapist is, and I remember this at vet school, when people said, oh, they want to be a vet, often when you're in school and you think like, I don't want to work with people, I just want to work with animals.
Yeah.
So although we have that pleasure of working with animals, we still got to work with the people, right? So we have the animals, but we've got to have the owners too. And, one of the things with the animals is, they can't tell us things, right? But we know what's happening because we can see whether the owner is
Yeah.
actually the truth or not. When they say yes, they have done the exercises, and we know very well that they haven't.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a funny thing about still dealing with humans in the animal world, because you're absolutely right. There's still that human error of doing the home exercises, right? So most people just don't like homework. They once they're at a school, it's like homework is done, get it away from me. And they're very receptive at first. But I think one of the challenges that helps, at least, my pet owners, is I get them involved in the treatment at the establishment so that they can see and feel and really realize what's going on and how it works. And I think that empowers them and also inspires them to do a little bit more at home. I'm not saying they're, super diligent at home, but I do think when they're going through it with their animal, there's something there that keeps a spark to do it at home as well. And I mean, we educate them that way too. This is your goal. You want to be here at a certain time. You got to do the home exercises, or it's going to take longer. Like I think being fully transparent too is super helpful.
Yeah. So tell me how your week looks. So like how many hours are you working? How many days? Obviously, when you first started, you had a newborn. So that brings
Yeah.
in a lot of other challenges.
Oh
So
yeah.
share with us how the week looks.
So we're open Monday through Friday, but we're actually open mostly later in the day. We found that our demographic and our geographic had basically wanted to come late at night, after work, after schools, just in more of abundance. We found we had our morning people, just it wasn't enough to open the lights for. We're open only 40 hours a week, so all of us only work 40 hours a week. Outside of the opening process and closing process, I should say. um, but yeah, there's been a consideration on Saturday mornings as well, and we'll get there. I don't want to do that to my staff just yet. But yeah, it's pretty regimented. Monday and Thursdays are just a little earlier, from 10 to 6, and then we do Tuesday, Wednesday, Fridays, 12 to 8 p.m. And we find that we're really heavy from 5 to 8. And I just have a great team, and we know how to communicate, and we can really get it done, and we can overload those hours with not much of a problem. So yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So most of your staff on those days that you start from 12 to 8, they get a little bit of a morning to do life.
Yeah. They get to lie in a little bit, right?
Yeah. Spend time with their kids.
Kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could say the same, but I wake up because I have kids. I wake up pretty early anyway, kind of get my day going, get them packed and ready for school, and then I do a lot of back end stuff for the business while I can. And then yeah, and then once we're open, there's some front end business that I attend to as well. But like I said, I do have a partner, and she also just got certified through the CCAT program. So she's helping me to manage it while I start to step away and expand and try to create that awareness and abundance of canine rehab.
So when you first started the practice, you took over a practice, which is obviously very different to starting on your own.
Definitely.
What was the practice like at that stage? I mean, did you take over like a going concern? Was it quite quiet? And what were the main challenges that you had taking over somebody else's practice?
So, really good question, because at first glance, at least for me, I was like, okay, this is going to be a turnkey process. Should kind of be, close on a Friday, open on a Monday, nothing changes. But boy, was my world rocked, because it was like that. The only thing is, it wasn't what I envisioned, right? So it was still, as I took it over, it was still somebody else's lingering business, like aura in a sense. And this is where, the staff at the time and even the patients at the time, they they only had or only knew a certain way. So of
Mm.
course, I think everybody knows therapists, we all are educated the same, but we do take different approaches, right? So, but we all have the same common goal. It's just we take different approaches. So a lot of the staff members were like, well, blah, 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 does it this way. And I said, that's great, but that's not how I do it. So that was some challenges with the staff as they, were working for years only a certain way. And then even with some of the owners, you would have, oh, well, there was X amount of time that, so and so did this. Is there a reason why we don't do this now and this and that? So, you do have to, and this is a popular subject, have to go through that imposter syndrome of, trying to show that you are somebody who is knowledgeable and who knows what they're doing, but you're brand new to both staff and patient base. So you really have to show yourself and prove yourself. So that was a really big challenge. And then, like I said before, this place was only open 2 days a week, Wednesday and Friday. And for me, that wasn't profitable, especially now that I was in it full time. I wasn't doing really anything else. So then the challenge was, how do I get this place open 5 days a week with patients all 5 days in the week? So that was a really big challenge. I also had a vision coming from the human world and seeing how we did it there. It did not translate well. Some things did, but I definitely failed hard in trying to mimic the human into the canine world. So I needed a lot of revamping. And it was a little dark because, I was losing a little bit of patient base because some had graduated and some had also, just wound up saying, okay, well, this is it for us now that so and so's gone. And I wasn't really getting in a lot of referrals. So I thought it was very interesting. And part of that deficit was that the other 3 days that the other therapist worked, she worked at a vet hospital. So she already had a orthopedic surgeon sending all these referrals, everything like that. So now that she disconnected with Alpha, there weren't really that many referrals coming in. So I didn't see that coming until obviously it came. So it was dark and I didn't really know which way to go. So, idle hands and lots of time thinking can definitely put you in a black hole for a little bit. But the biggest thing for me was to seek help, right?
Mm.
It was to figure out, okay, how can I grow? How can I get referrals in? And basically, I scoured the internet. I wanted to see if there was business consulting out there, if there was somebody helping canine businesses out there. And it was pretty slim. It was pretty slim. There was a few, but the biggest one out there was the Canine PT Academy. So Dr. Francisco Maya, who you know very well. And he wound up helping me change the game. He's still my mentor today. And it was quite a bounce back. He literally helped me go from 2 days to 5 days within 5 months. Yeah,
Wow.
it was super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Francisco does a lot of our business training in the Online Pet Health
Yeah.
platform. So, we have loads of recordings in the business basics. So he's great, and
Yeah.
we work a lot with him. So that's awesome. So what did you change in the marketing? So tell us the things that didn't work that you tried to extrapolate from human PT, and then what is working now?
Yeah. So the biggest thing was I had a vision of my website and it looked clean, it looked nice. But I don't think it was the right website for canine rehab. So there was a lot of restructuring there to make it fun, make it friendly, make it informational. I think that was the biggest thing too. Easy to navigate for people is really huge, right? So when they're going onto your website and their dog has torn their CCL, they want to be able to find that CCL section that you're, going to inform them about, and then, give them a call to action on, this is call us now for more information and how we can help, yada, yada, yada. So that was the first thing. It was the website, just total restructure of the website. And then the biggest thing I learned was lunch and learns. So, I thought, I had a rehab center and all these surrounding veterinarians totally had to know about me, right? Like, these dogs are injured, they're going to send them to me. That was not the case. Even within a local area, like the next town over, some had said, like, oh, we didn't even know about you. And that was shocking to me because this prior business has been there for over a decade. Again, she probably just stuck with the doctor. Like I said, that was the surgeon, the orthopedic surgeon, and just getting spoon fed those referrals. But that was shocking to me that, they didn't even know there was a rehab center around. So, I mean, it was a door to door process. I literally went to Google Maps, and I literally made a spreadsheet of all the surrounding veterinary hospitals, clinics, and everything like that within 20 miles, 25-mile radius. And I went door to door. I stopped in, I made phone calls. Um, you know, the biggest thing was coming in there and just knowing some names. I did my homework. I went on their website and I asked, is Barbara your practice manager here instead of is your practice manager here? So, just those little subtleties, bringing in donuts or treats or something like that while you say hello. And then, yeah, I mean, subtle bribery. But yeah, and then outside of that, the people you are talking to, if you don't get the managers, the front line, the front desk, and really kind of schmoozing them and remembering their name or their animals or whatever they have, mentioned to you while you're kind of doing small talk with them. It really goes a long way because then they almost become an advocate for you, like they're on your side, and they, if you call again because you haven't gotten a phone call from Barbara, the practice manager, sometimes they'll help nudge, especially if you're friendly with them and you remember their name, things like that. So lunch and learns were really huge for initial kind of referrals and patient volume. And then, after that, it was, your classic Google ads, right? Now you have to spread the word to the common folk, the pet owners. And that was the next and biggest phase for me was Google ads, making sure that obviously, everybody knows about SEOs and who wants to be on top and who wants to be seen first and things like that. Luckily there's not many competitors for me, but still it's getting up there and looking like what you're doing and giving the information to the pet owner to show that okay, we can help you.
Yeah, I love it. And now, so going forward now with all your different practices, are you the one who's going to be taking on all those lunch and learns, or are you going to be training team members to do that?
So yeah, initially I will be taking them on. I will have team members shadowing or joining me, and they'll kind of get the flow of things. And yeah, that's kind of the initial way I do it is I'll train for about 3 to 6 months, depending on the staff members and everything like that, and then have the facility kind of self-sufficient. Alpha right now is basically self-sufficient. So I'm able to step away and do more back-end things, more lunch and learns. I'm doing a huge pet expo in Pennsylvania for 3 days on February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th that are all-day events. So for me, it's a lot of getting out there, but it's very easy if if and when you get lucky to train the staff members to also be that way, create a manager or a director of your rehabilitation facility. And yeah, you could literally step back and now you're shadowing them instead of them shadowing you. And then the shadow just kind of goes away. And then, yeah, moving on to the next phase. So yeah, that's basically why I have my facilities timeline like that. So one in June, one at the end of the year, because I do think it's a 3 to 6 month buffer depending on your staff members, at least for me.
So having completed the first one and got it to the point now where you can step back, is there any major mistake that you made that you would like to share that you would have changed? Or do you think that everything that happened has, got you to the point and it's a lesson learned?
Yeah, I would say it does dial back to the two major mistakes actually for me was not putting enough money into advertising because initially, and I think every new business owner might think this way too, we think of it as an expense and not as an investment. So it was huge when I changed my mindset there, but it took me a little longer than it should have. So that was a really big mistake because, I would throw money at it and then I would retract because I'd be like, too much money, too much money. And then, you'd see the dips and then you throw the money back in. So instead of, just riding out the storm, you would just do this roller coaster of like, killing yourself. But yeah, so that was the biggest thing. And then don't take too long. If you see a challenge or you see a wall or a door you can't open, find somebody who might have the key or who might be able to sledgehammer that wall for you. Don't try to just do it on your own. Don't be too proud. The biggest thing I've learned is ask for help right away. If I see a challenge and I think, okay, well, I can probably do 3/4 of this challenge, but I can't do that last bit. I'm going to find somebody who can do that last bit. I'm not going to wait and see if I can figure it out. You keep the ball rolling because you're only going to stop yourself. You're only going to stop the business from progressing.
Yeah.
So those were the two big mistakes that I've learned from.
Yeah, that's really great advice. And I think that one of the things with the advertising is that, sometimes takes a while before you see the results. So, and you put the money in, you don't see the results straight away. You don't know how to measure whether it's working. And then that's when you pull back and you think, I'm not doing that. And I've been in that exact same position. So it's really important to either find someone who can do it for you that actually knows what they're doing, or get the knowledge and actually learn how to do it yourself. Because you can do it yourself. There are loads of courses that can teach you exactly how to do it.
Definitely.
And so you have two options, but just not doing it because you don't know is a mistake.
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception about marketing is that for any new business owner possibly is that, once you put it out there, you want results yesterday, right? So the biggest thing is, yes, it's something that needs to scale. It's not just, you click your ad to advertise and then the next day you have 20 patients waiting for you to sign them up for an initial eval. I wish, and I would gladly pay that program, but that's just not the way it works. Everything is on a scalable process, and it's also a learning curve, right? You need to see, who your demographic is, what they're searching. You're not going to get it right the first initial output. So yeah, I would say at the minimum, it's like a 3-month process before you see a really return on investment there. Yeah.
Yeah.
A good return on investment. Yeah.
So, Anthony, tell us how we can find your podcasts, so the new one that you're doing as well as the other one. Where's the best place to look for those? And then if somebody
Yeah.
wants to get hold of you, where would the best place for them to do that?
So my personal podcast that I have out there, An Underdog Story, the walkthrough of the business of canine rehab and animal rehab. All my information is there, email. There's even a direct phone number that you can leave a voicemail on and I can contact you back on. My website, you can also submit a form if you want, which is alpharehabandfitness.com. And then on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, I have all the same handles. It's at Alpha Rehab and Fit. So please go check those out. We have a lot of fun segments on there. And yeah, so the Northeast Seminars one is coming out soon. We don't have a hard date yet, nor do we have a working title yet, but we are in recording, and that was the most important for us. We figured we can kind of establish all that other stuff later, but yeah, we're recording. That's in process. Hope to have at least 3 to 6 in the next couple months of episodes so that we can have an abundance for you guys so you can really learn about Northeast Seminars. So just keep a lookout on my Instagram, all my social media handles, I should say. Keep a lookout on Northeast Seminars social media handles. And yeah, it's really exciting. The instructors are a lot of fun to talk to. Even the administration, they're really cool. They have a really great purpose behind their program, and we just want to get it out there to the world to see.
Awesome, Anthony. Thanks so much. It's been wonderful chatting to you, and good luck with all your projects. I think we'll have to, at the end of the year, get you back on just to get an update to see how things are going.
Do a wrap up? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. Don't forget to bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit on Saturday, the 31st of August, 2024. Come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Online Pet Health members get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepethealth.com.